Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello. Today we are going to discuss another important parameter of housing planning and policy, that is affordability and the housing finance. So because before we come to this part, let us have a quick recap of the last discussion. In the last discussion we discussed about the land reforms, and then we discussed about the other boundary conditions which is affecting the housing supply at the overall level, national level, and under those criteria we discussed the policy and the legal setup, legal interventions which are required at the central level, state level and the lower level at various levels, and also we discussed the housing policies documents done at the central level, state level, how it is done and what are the major prescription of those policy documents. Now, one very important parameter of the or reason for not achieving or not fulfilling the housing for the masses is the affordability. In the earlier discussion we have seen that the housing could not be delivered to majority of the people of a city or of our country because of their lower level of affordability, because the rate or the price of the housing which market supplies is much higher than the affordability or affordable limit of the people in the lower income category or the poor people. And we have discussed that there are basically 4 categories of the economic group which we divide to analyze the housing situation or housing finance. Those are higher income group, middle income group, lower income group and economically weaker section. So, mostly as we have discussed before that the market supply for the housing is majorly given for the higher income group and middle income group, whereas the lower income group and the economically weaker section, even if they have a larger section, larger requirement of the housing, but they get less amount of house from the market. And even then the price of those of the houses are pretty high, so they cannot afford it. So, as a result they end up in making squatters and slum like situation in the city. So, now what is the problem? So, let us see the conceptually how it affects. So, in a housing affordability discussion, there are 2 very interlinked concept which is called supply side intervention and demand side intervention, because ultimately the housing affordability is a relative concept. Any component or any product which may not be affordable right now as per my income eligibility, maybe later on if I improve my income eligibility or my capacity, I can afford that also. But in a given point of time, to get that product even if it is housing or any other product, there are many parameters which is influencing the price of that product. So, one is the absolute price of the product. So, let us write the housing affordability. So, one part is that if this is the housing affordability limit for a particular economic group, this is the affordable limit. Now, how we decide this limit? Initially it is to be decided based on the purely the income criteria. Sometimes it is calculated based on the percentage of the monthly income, it may be 30%, 25% of a family income. So, based on the income limit and based on the percentage, that criteria is fixed. So, if this is the limit of the affordability limit of a particular income group, it may be economical weaker section, it may be lower income group, and maybe that this is the market price of that house which is available. Now, this becomes the gap in the affordability. So, this is the capacity, this is the capacity, and this is the market price. So, this becomes the gap which need to be recovered, which needs to be fulfilled to bring or to supply more amount of affordable houses. Now, this gap can be fulfilled in two ways. Either we reduce the market price by some method, or we increase the capacity, so that somewhere in between the gap we make some situation where with the enhanced capacity we can afford a product which is a housing or a basic house which is lower than the market price. Now, to lower the market price of any commodity, there are several inputs. So, we need some input to lower the cost of a house, and those inputs or actions are called as supply side, intervention. So, objective of the supply side intervention is to bring down the market price of the house by giving various inputs in terms of making the housing in a cheaper cost of price, and the intervention which is required to enhance the capacity of the people so that they can buy a house even if it is little more than their original capacity, that is called the demand side intervention, which is nothing but intervention. So, which is nothing but that creating more demand, creating more capacity of the individual person, of the people, of the group, so that they can buy higher amount of priced housing. Now, what are the supply side and demand side intervention? So, supply side interventions are basically which influences pricing of a house or cost of a house in a way so that ultimate price brings down. So, one is land supply in a cheaper rate. We have discussed that the component of the housing cost is the land, the building, and the manpower and the administrative cost. So, one of the major cost of the housing is the land. So, if the land is supplied in a cheaper cost, last day we discussed the land management also, land management after the policy discussion. So, in land management we discussed that we have different sets of land management styles, and based on that the land can be supplied in a comparatively cheaper rate for the mass housing. So, one is the land supply. The second is the technology. The current conventional technology which takes roughly 5 to 4 years, 4 to 5 years for a construction of a regular housing project. Now, as a result of this long duration of the completion time, the housing cost sometimes are escalated, sometimes they get project overrun, time overrun, and the cost becomes higher, the price become higher. So, if we use better technology, better methods for construction and bring down the construction time maybe within 2 years or even less, then we can bring down the cost also substantially. Later on we will come to this discussion in a detailed manner, but right now let us take a note that technology also can bring down the cost substantially from the market price by improving the systems of the construction in a different way using the new technology. Then there are inputs like institutional like if the delivery or the housing providers, the government and the private, they are efficient, they are effective in delivering the service, delivering or the discharging or disposing the housing units in a quicker time, in a efficient manner, then also the housing price could come down. And also with this the government policy like say tax, land value, everything is controlled by the government. If those policies are favorable for the housing so that it brings down the market price, so all these parameters can influence the market price and bring down the cost. On the other hand, in the demand side intervention, the first intervention which we can do is the arrangement of the housing finance. 20 years back we have seen that there was no formal housing finance. A person after working for his lifetime for a great period of time, after that he construct his own house and make his house. But right now because of the housing finance in terms of housing loans are available from the various nationalized banks, so people are taking those loans and making their houses in a greater easiness and greater convenience. So housing finance is one major demand side intervention which creates more demand, which enhances the affordable capability or capacity of the people. Then second is the government policies like say reservation. So in reservation government can create a bulk of housing reserved for the economically weaker section and lower income group, so that and can give subsidy. So reservation along with subsidy or cross subsidy can also enhance their capability to take the house in a lower price. And apart from that also there could be policies like say interest subsidy. Though it is related with housing finance, sometimes government can provide the interest subsidy, or sometimes they can provide the mortgage property. So mortgage property, against the mortgage they can take the finances and they can enhance the capability. So these are the two sides of the balancing act in the housing affordability, which influences the or controls the market of the housing affordability, and somewhere we fix the affordable limit of a house of a particular economic group. But by and large it used to be determined based on the income category. Now right now we are going from a income based paradigm, income based approach to a different approach of determining housing affordability. So earlier we used to calculate the housing affordability based on the income criteria. That is why in all public housing projects done by the housing boards and the development authority or the any state or central government authority, you will find that the housing units created for the lower income group people and economically weaker section, those are reserved and those are given only on the basis of the income criteria. And there are also limitations, like if a house is given to those economic group, they cannot sell it out, they cannot rent it out, so flexibility is less. So for that reason right now people, there is a concept that instead of going for a income criteria, there could be the gradation of the affordability based on the area, the floor area of the floor, so that in housing project if you offer different kind of units based on the different category of the people, different size of the units, so that different category of people can purchase those units starting from the smaller unit, medium unit, large or very extra large unit. So, those kind of approach is coming, and those are current paradigm which is is a major change from the income criteria based approach to the area based approach. Now, let us see the further section how it is working. So, right now as we told that from the income based approach to area based approach, let us see an example. Here you can see the Government of India, they have mentioned for economically weaker section a built up area of 300 square feet, and for LIG 300 to 600 square feet. Similarly, the state government, like state government of West Bengal, they have mentioned the price cap, the maximum price cap also, and also they have mentioned the built up area which is almost similar, little this is little extra than the Government of India stipulation, and this is almost similar, little more or similar, 400 to 600 square feet. So, this area and the price cap is the current paradigm of the Government of India and various state governments, what they are thinking in the housing affordability. Now, from this point we will go to another section called housing finance, but before housing finance we will come back to again this affordable part when we discuss the government programs, current government programs like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So, some part of the affordability definitely will be discussed during that discussion in subsequent lecture. Now, let us see that how housing finance as a concept of demand side intervention can take a large role, and what is the concept of the housing finance as a whole. So, basically housing finance is the concept is to make the finance available for purchasing a house or to make the people affordable to purchase a house or land, that is the concept. So, why it is given? It is given basically to purchase the home, land or apartment, or sometimes it is given for the renovation of the own home. For example, you have purchased a home, you are staying in that home, but after some time you find that you need some renovation, alteration and retrofitting of that particular unit. So, you can go for the housing finance, it is also available. And also apart from this financing, there could be project finances for the developers who are constructing the housing project. The housing finances are also available for those kind of requirement. Then transfer of existing loan, that one finance under a nationalized bank can be transferred to another bank considering different situation and need, that is also possible. Some banks, some financial institution offer that also, and also the enhancement of the existing loan also possible if there is an enhancement of the scope of the work. For example, you are purchasing a house or apartment, you have taken a housing loan from a bank, and after some time you want to make a kind of a renovation of the internal spaces or make a very intricate interior decoration. So, you can enhance the amount of the housing loan. Then there are two major categories of the housing finance. One is the project finance for housing projects, it is meant for the developer. By and large, the project finance is meant for the developer, and basically project finance is a supply side intervention. If the project finance is more available, then it creates better finance available for the project and brings down the cost. Whereas the retail finance which is for individual person to purchase their home, it is demand side interventions which creates more demand, more capacity for a individual person. Then let us see what are the type of finance available for purchasing a home. The first is the simply the purchase loan, home construction loan. You can purchase a land and you can construct your own house out of that loan. Then on an existing house you can improve the your house, or you can construct some extra rooms, or you can add some rooms with the improved loans. Home extension loan, you have your existing home, you want to extend horizontally or vertically, so that is also possible with the housing finance. Home conversion loan, you have a house, you want to convert some part of the house to some other use, like say small shops. Under the prevailing laws, if it is applicable, if it is allowable, you can do that and you can take loan for that purpose also. Then land purchase loan, some banks, not all the banks, some financial organizations, they offer also loans for the purchasing of the land. Then stamp duty, you know that after purchasing a house you have to get the house registered under the government, state government, and for that registration the stamp duty, which is nothing but the percentage of the total housing cost, is to be given to the government. Sometimes it is a fixed percentage, sometimes it is a variable percentage as per the income groups, but that has to be that is required to register the house or the apartment under the Government Registration Act. So, some financial organizations, some banks, they also offer the stamp duty loans. Then bridge loans. Bridge loans is something like you have a existing loan and you want to take another loan, and you can kind of a top up that loan with some extra amount and bridge that extra requirement or another requirement of another separate loan, that can be done. Then balance transfer loan, sometime if you are not convenient or convenient with your existing loan or your service provider, you can transfer that the balance to another loan provider, housing finance provider, where possibly you get the lesser amount of interest rate or better service. So, that is also possible. Some banks, they offer the balance transfer sometimes on the payment of some penalty or payment of some premium amount. The refinance of loans, if a finance is given for any particular property, but that property is maybe that it is not being constructed, or maybe it is not in proper use, or maybe it is not being in particular occupied by the people. So, it may be it require refinancing to revamp it, to renovate it. So, that kind of loans are also available. There are loans to NRI. If a person is NRI, they will be eligible to get the NRI loan. Then who are the providers of this loan? There are housing finance institution under the overall control of Reserve Bank of India, like HUDCO, Housing and Urban Development Corporation, HDFC, SBI, PNB, or many other nationalized banks. They provide housing loans as per the prevailing interest rate. Apart from that, there are microfinance institution in the rural and informal sector who provides loan to the people, including housing loan. Basically all different type of household need, they provide loans like Bandhan. Then let us see how the housing finance operates. So, initially you have to apply for a home with a basic booking money. It may be some few thousand, some few lakhs, that you have to arrange from your own money, own earning, except few subsidized government project where government directly provides that booking money also, but by and large the booking money has to be given by the owner. Then after you book the particular apartment, then you apply for a home loan to the particular government organization or financial institution. Then that particular institution or the financial institution or bank will inspect and assess the eligibility. They will assess your eligibility to get the loan, whether you are eligible to get the loan as per the requirement, or and they will inspect the property also, or inspect the possible house which you are buying or you are planning to buy, and after after being satisfied with the assessment of your eligibility and inspecting the property, they will do the approval of the loan, and the loan will be disbursed as per the contract with the developer. And for every installments, like if a developer takes the money in say equal 5 or 6 installment, in every installment we will have two parts. One major part will be given by the bank authority, and another small part like say 15 to 20% amount will be given by you, which is called as a margin money. Bank never gives 100% money to to the borrowers, they always gives money up to maximum 85% or 90%. So, remaining money you have to give instantly, later on you can pay the money given by the bank. Then after the as per the agreement, maybe after starting of the loan or maybe after the construction of the house, your repayment for the remaining money, margin money is already given by you, remaining money, that is the loan amount, is being repaid. So, your eligibility depends on the policies of the housing finance institution, but however, this acts as a collateral security, like even if you have the eligibility, income eligibility, you have to, sometimes the bank they prefer that if you have a collateral security like house or land as a mortgage, they will be better to give the loan easily. And usually repayment takes place maximum with 30 years, and the EMI is determined by the surplus from the monthly family income, which is maximum up to 60%. That means that is the internal calculation of the financial institution. They will calculate your capability of monthly installment after deducting your possible monthly expenditure, but otherwise it will not go beyond 60% of your monthly remuneration, and based on that they will calculate, and they will calculate your eligibility of the loan. So, interest rate is varying. It was very high, like 17% in 1996 to 18%, only 8% in 2005, and now it is about 9.5%, average 9.5% in all the bank. So, depending on the government policy and government financial policy, the housing loan interest rate varies time to time, and sometimes for poor people, for economically weaker section and lower income group people, within this interest rate also government sometimes provides the interest subsidy. Now, let us see what are the major problems and the issues. Now, these are the institutional, these are the loans which is basically formal way of getting a financial help, but common people, poor people, sometimes they cannot access because of the formal procedure. So, that is the first problem. Second is the product, the loan as a product, housing finance as a product, sometimes they lack of diversity. They need to develop more options in the product of the housing loan, so that every category of the people, irrespective of their income criteria, social background, they can access the housing finance. Then transparency and accountability of the financier. There are many housing finance organizations whose transactions are not may not be transparent. So, this is the areas of concern which you need to discuss. And also there are concepts like NPA. If you take a loan and you do not repay the amount, then your property becomes, the housing property becomes non-performing assets, and for every non-performing assets, the financial institutions, they have a mechanism to take back, to recover that money using the SARFAESI Act. So, every bank should not have more than 5% of the total housing finance, total finance as NPA, that is the indicator of the banks to become a efficient performer. And so, issues are collateral security, because some of the banks they insist on collateral security. Without the security they do not provide the housing finance. So, it becomes a problem for the poor people, because most of the poor people, they do not have the collateral security. Then loan from the informal sector. The informal sectors which are working at the local level in the slums, in the village area for the housing finance, those are by and large unorganized. So, how it can be organized, it can be streamlined into a proper process, that is also another issues. Then for the banks, the non-performing assets are increasing, that means the loan, number of loans and the amount of loan under the non-performing assets which is not getting any recovery, getting any monthly installments, those are increasing, and it is a major concern for the major bigger banks in India. Then also another very important part is flexibility in the repayment. Right now the banks, they take money in terms of the equated monthly installment, but it may happen that in a lifetime of a people there might be hard times for the people where they cannot, maybe they cannot repay that money in a particular month, or maybe they will be earning more money after some time. So, there could be flexibility that in some of the months they can repay very lesser amount of the average EMI, in some of the months they can be eligible to repay the more amount of money. So, this flexibility of the repayment should be there in a housing finance package in a better way. And another thing is transfer. Sometimes transfer of the loan amount is from one bank to another bank, or from or withdraw the loan is also becomes cumbersome, or it is not easy for the people. But slowly all the banks and the financial institutions, they are coming forward to make it easy for common people. So, let us summarize very quickly. So, today we discussed the affordability and the housing finance. In affordability, we discussed that affordability is the criteria, the financial criteria to purchase a home or land, and affordability depends on, basically it is relative and it depends on the income criteria, and since it is relative, it is depending on the two factor. One factor that it reduces the price of the product, and another factor which increases the capacity of the people. The first factor which is which reduces the cost of the housing, that is called supply side intervention, and the factors which increases the capacity of the financial capacity of the people to purchase a house, it is called demand side intervention. Now, housing finance is one of the great demand side intervention for individual person, and also housing finance can be very great, very helpful for the project finance, which can deliver as a supply side intervention. Housing finance is basically given on the basis of income eligibility, and it is given to the people up to extent of 85 to 90%, remaining money the individual person has to repay in terms of equated monthly installment. The more or less it is repaid in the maximum duration of 30 years. The major housing finance institutions are like HUDCO and the other nationalized housing banks, who provides the housing finance for the common people and also for the projects. And the major concerns in the housing finance subject is the since it is the formal mechanism of the getting housing finance, some people, poor people, common people, sometimes they are not accessible, they cannot access the housing finance easily. The collateral security demanded by the banks, sometimes it is not possible for a common people or poor people to deposit the collateral security, and also for the bank side, the cases of the NPA, non-performing assets, are increasing, which is a major concern for the bank, and flexibility in terms of repaying the installment is another area which needs attention. So, based on that, next day we will discuss the another supply side intervention, that is the technology system which we touched today, that how a technology system can deliver more housing in a lesser amount of time and can reduce the cost of the housing in a greater extent. So, thank you.